Sup, you beautiful bastards. I hope you're having a fantastic Thursday. Welcome back to the Philip DeFranco Show. And a quick thing before I jump into it. Today's my birthday. I am 39 years old. I'm ancient. Actually, that's not true. I'm 31. I wanted to say I was 39, so you'd be like, oh, you look great for 39. You look like an exhausted 34-year-old at worst. Anyway, thank you for all the birthday wishes I've been seeing on social media today. I appreciate it. And with that said, let's jump into the first story of the day. And the first thing we're going to talk about, a lot of people are hitting me up about this, and that is the Emily Ratajkowski nude photo controversy. If that sounds odd because you know who she is, you've seen her naked before, it's more about permission. Here's the story. Before Ratajkowski blew up after the Blurred Lines music video, that's why everyone knows her, before that she did a sexy photo shoot with photographer Jonathan Leder. In some, she's wearing lingerie, others, she is completely nude, and some of the photos have actually been out for a while now. You can find some of them, I'll link down below. It's on her official website. They're fantastic, beautiful photos, and she even links out to Jonathan. But fast forward to more recently, where Jonathan announced that he is releasing more of the photos. 71 photos of Emily in a collector's edition book that he's selling for $80. He put it up for pre-order, and then sometime after, Emily decided to go to Twitter, writing, "I've been resisting speaking publicly on the recently released photos by Jonathan Leder to avoid giving him publicity, but I've had enough. This book and the images within them are a violation. 5 out of the now hundreds of released photos were used for what they were intended, an artful magazine shoot back in 2012. These photos being used without my permission is an example of exactly the opposite of what I stand for. Women choosing when and how they want to share their sexuality and bodies." Now, as of right now, Leder nor Imperial Publishing, who are putting out the book, have responded. But it has stirred up a big conversation. Some have said, well, we've seen Emily naked before, why is this a big deal? That, I feel like that argument misses the point entirely. That gets into the weird, strange territory of, I've seen that porn star naked and having sex before. Then just because at a later time someone took a naked photo of her without her permission or without permission to post, that doesn't make it okay. You don't get to choose others' consent, but this is also more of a gray area. This was a nude photo shoot that spanned 2 days. It seemed that there was consent. There was an understanding nude photos would be published. She even published some of them. But legally, it does potentially get into weird territory as far as publishing things that she did not personally approve to be published. So here's the thing. We don't know if there was a verbal contract or there was a written down contract. And we don't know the specific details. Was there an exchange of money? Was this a contracted job? And the reason that matters is according to the Copyright Designs and Patents Act of 1988, the author of the photograph is the person who creates it, the author/photographer. And the author/photographer will be the first holder of the copyright in the photo unless it was created in the course of employment, in which case the employer will own the copyright. So if there was an exchange of money, she paid him, then it is her copyright. And this is also something I have personally had to deal with in the past. We used to do a segment back in the day called Lovely Lady of the Day. The show at the time was geared more towards men. We'd feature aspiring models, we'd send in photo sets, we'd post them, and every now and then we would get dinged because they didn't have an agreement with the photographer of those photos. So then we had to deal with them, find out the model actually didn't have ownership of the photos, we were getting screwed. So if that's the case, while I sympathize with what Emily is feeling because she wants ownership of her body, legally, if everything is as it appears right now, it doesn't appear that she has a leg to stand on. Because legally, even though it was over 4 years ago, the law would see that you did give consent. Which even saying out loud makes me feel dirty, because it's like we're not talking about the transfer of pink slips for a car, we're talking about your body. If there is a silver lining though, despite this now situation most likely boosting sales for this book, I do believe that it serves as a learning experience for other aspiring models that are trying to break into the industry. And also, if you work in any industry, a good piece of advice is if you are working with someone where you can even remotely be vulnerable, make sure there is some sort of contract or agreement you can point to if things fall apart, because a lot of the times things fall apart. But of course, this is the Philip DeFranco Show. Whether it be this story or anything I talk about today, I'd love to know what you think. Do you think the photographer is in the right? Yes, no? If it's even legal, do you still think that it's scummy? I'd love to know what you think and why. And from there, I want to share some stuff I love today, and today in Awesome, sponsored by DeFrancoPocketTee.com. For just a few more days, the DeFranco Have a Great Frackin' Day shirts, the shoes, and the sports hats will be available, so grab those while you can. And the first bit of awesome is High Quality Gift Studio has decided to do what they did with the Taylor Swift video and do it with Macklemore's Thrift Shop, creating a far superior music video. I'm also not showing the video that I'm talking about because they literally had to upload it a month ago, dispute the autoclaim in advance, and then release finally today. I personally can't afford to do that, but I will link to it. Then if you also hate love comments on random YouTube videos, I gotta recommend Internet Comment Etiquette with Eric. He just did a video on sex ed. It's, I think I have found one of my new favorite series on YouTube. Then if you're a fan of badass slow-mo and or electricity, I gotta recommend Smarter Everyday's video showing a Tesla coil gun at 28,000 frames per second. Then if you also like eating incredibly horrible food for yourself, at least every now and then or all the time, in select locations, Burger King has brought back Cheesy Tots, which are exactly what they sound like, mac and cheese tater tots, and they did it by bringing back Napoleon Dynamite. And finally, if you like fashion and or ladies, the Victoria's Secret fashion show went down. It ranged from weird to sexy to badass. If you want to check it out, there's a full gallery. And remember, if you want to see the full versions of everything I shared, the secret link of the day, anything at all, links as always are in the description down below. Then in a quick update. Remember yesterday we talked about the YouTube glitches, the problem? Well, Kotaku covered the story, and an update is they talked to a YouTube spokesperson who said, although YouTube has heard concerns about subscriber drops, an extensive review unearthed nothing unusual going on beyond the normal fluctuations that occur when viewers unsubscribe to a channel, or when YouTube removes spam subscriptions to ensure accurate subscriber numbers. Adding, YouTube never automatically unsubscribes users from channels. And my response to that is, maybe I'm just a little bit slow here, but didn't you just contradict yourself? You said, YouTube never automatically unsubscribes users from channels. YouTube removes spam subscriptions to ensure accurate subscriber numbers. So you do, but you don't. Well, okay, so maybe they don't think that they're contradicting themselves because they're saying, no, we're just removing the spam things and those aren't actually users, so we're telling the truth. So for me, it appears the logical question for YouTube, if they can answer, how does YouTube know what is a spam subscription and what is not? Is it when someone subscribes and then just never watches the videos after like 1 or 2 months? If that's the case, what's the timeline? When does YouTube remove those dead spam accounts? In the past, there used to be days that were dedicated to the spam removal. We called those days subscriber purges. Everything would be fine, and then one day, all of a sudden, people would drop 30,000 subscribers. Has that old system been changed to a new system where when someone uploads, it scans the subscribers and they're like, okay, this person hasn't watched in 80 videos. Automatic removal, and that's why we're seeing 300 to 500 people drop in subscribers when someone posts. And to that effect, are you basing it on the number of unwatched videos or just time? And when you look into it, is there any possibility that people's normal behavior is being seen as spam accounts? Because it feels like it must. Once again, any and all communication is appreciated, YouTube. Then let's talk about the NFL again. Remember we talked about yesterday that guy getting suspended for 10 games because he smoked weed because he has Crohn's disease? It was prescribed, it was all on the up and up, and I criticized the NFL because he is serving out a longer suspension than if someone beat or sexually assaulted a woman. If you don't remember, the NFL is like, if you do that, you get 6 weeks suspension, and if you do it a second time, you're banned for a year, but you can come back after a year maybe. Because even if you beat or sexually assaulted a woman 2 times, that's not a trend, or at least that's what we're gonna say, because we don't want to remove some of the best players that help bring in $7+ billion a year. Well, separate from that, but within the same 24-hour period, the NFL came under fire because of their new Twitter header. That featuring Kansas City Chiefs rookie wide receiver Tyreek Hill. He was most likely featured there because he had a crazy game where he scored 3 touchdowns against the Broncos. Well, people weren't too happy because there's another reason people know about Tyreek Hill, and it doesn't have to do with football. It has to do with the fact that he punched and choked his pregnant girlfriend. And I don't mean an alleged assault. He pled guilty. He, quote, hit her in the face and stomach and proceeded to choke her. He pled guilty, and get this, despite him punching a pregnant woman in the stomach, choking her, he got no jail time, he received 3 years probation, he was ordered to attend a 52-week batterer intervention course, and he will not be a convicted felon, and the charge will be wiped from his records if he completes his probation agreement. And so that guy being featured by the NFL made a lot of people angry, especially since the NFL tries. They spend millions on these anti-domestic violence campaigns, but that's just really, it's like a band-aid. Look guys, we're trying, but also, I mean, I want to point out, if you're angry about this, I mean, I hope that you're angry that he plays in general. But the thing is, unfortunately, players like Tyreek Hill are not outliers. And there are people that are more than happy to push this stuff to the side, say, you know, things can be left in the past. He's changed, but I have to ask, how much can you really change? Maybe some people are gonna think I'm closed-minded, but if you punch and choke not only just a woman, a pregnant woman. The thing is, when I mention stuff like this, like when I talked about it with Chris Brown, other people, they're like, let it go, it was in the past. We all make mistakes. Yeah, but my mistakes are like, oh, I'm late, or oh, I yelled something really like I shouldn't have said, not I beat the mother of my child and put her in the hospital. I've joked in the past that you could have a person who studied and worked for 40 years to cure cancer, and then just one time they fucked a goat, and everyone's gonna remember them as the guy that fucked the goat, who granted also cured cancer, but they're gonna be like, yeah, Greg the goat fucker. Same idea for me goes to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is not a football player who one time had a thing with his wife. Tyreek Hill is an abuser who attacked a pregnant woman, almost killing his own child, who also plays football for a living. And I know I try and stay pretty even on most every story, but Tyreek Hill and anyone else who supports a guy like that can go fuck themselves. I'm not white knighting here, you're just a piece of shit. And then for some reason, let's talk about Kellogg's and Breitbart News. If you haven't seen, this is so fascinating. Breitbart, if you don't know, is a very right-wing news website. And on Tuesday, after receiving countless complaints, the Kellogg company announced that they are removing their ads from the website, specifically saying, quote, it wasn't aligned with our values. And then Breitbart News essentially declared war. They posted a news story about themselves titled, Breakfast Brand Blacklist Breitbart Declares Hate for 45 million readers. And they said, essentially because Kellogg's has turned their back on their 45 million readers a month, they're launching this campaign to boycott the food manufacturer, adding that this decision will make virtually no revenue impact on Breitbart.com. It does, however, represent an escalation retaliation in the war by leftist companies like Target and Allstate against conservative customers whose value propelled Donald Trump into the White House. So people started using the hashtag, saying they're no longer going to buy the products, they never did, and they never will. People showing video of them dumping cereal into the garbage, which I understand the symbolism, but you already paid for it. Like, if I paid Martha Stewart to make me a 4-course meal and she made everything, it's all in front of me, and then I found out that she's been telling everyone I'm a huge asshole behind my back, I'm not gonna throw the food out, I'm gonna eat it and then never pay her again. Until maybe I forget that she said it, or it's not that big of a deal to me, because you know what, I am kind of a dick. I'm just saying, there's no reason to waste. Eat your cereal with liberal tears. You guys love saying shit like that. But whatever, people did that. Also, reportedly, over 125,000 plus and counting have signed a petition to boycott them. But also, on top of that story and the boycott, Breitbart has now just started publishing anti-Kellogg stories. Amnesty International blasts Kellogg's for child labor. Kellogg's falls 2% on child labor report. Stock went down, and yeah, in the past 24 hours, that is definitely going to be connected to the boycott. But it's also been going down for several months now, pretty much since July. But if you look to 2015, their numbers are still higher than there. Most recently, hashtag dump Kellogg's minority employees accuse Kellogg's of racism, subjecting them to the N-word photo of a baboon. Another Kellogg Foundation gave nearly $1 million to support Black Lives Matter. And I expect many more articles to come out, but for those asking me what my opinion on this is I think it's all fair game. Kellogg's is free to remove their advertising, and Breitbart is free to report on things that are hopefully all true. I will say, while I understand Breitbart's anger, they do seemingly come off as a very angry, crazy ex-girlfriend. Also, some people have argued that it's a little bit funny that Breitbart has such a huge problem with Kellogg's now, even though they seemingly had no problem when they were taking their money. Like the video of the guy committing a crime, peeing on the food in a Kellogg's factory, was from a year ago, but it's being reported like, oh, it just happened. That was one of your advertisers. And I think it's debatable as far as if this is a good marketing move for Breitbart. On one hand, it could freak out future advertisers because they're like, oh my God, like I don't know if I want to get into business with these people, because if I ever pull my money back, they might just try and burn the company. But at the same time, their ability to use this story as an us versus them, the little guy versus the giant corporation, is going to be successful for them. For much of their base, they're going to successfully use this situation to say, we really stand by these morals and values, and we don't give a shit about money. And I honestly think it's going to work out well for them. The us versus them, the anger, that is very profitable. And in my opinion, this is 100% what this play is. It is marketing and PR. Because a big thing that needs to be pointed out is that even though Breitbart News is focusing on the Kellogg company, a ton of other people have left them. San Diego Zoo said, we can confirm our media buyer is removing this site from our network as we speak. Warby Parker says, we recently blocked our ads from appearing on Breitbart News. This also after Breitbart News was banned from an ad platform called AppNexus. Although that kind of felt like a PR move from them, because this little bit of information that a lot of people haven't been focusing on. AppNexus doesn't actually count Breitbart among its clients, but the ban makes it so advertisers seeking to buy real estate on the domain will no longer be able to do so. But PR-wise, Breitbart is doing the smart thing. They're going after the biggest player. As far as how that's going to work for Kellogg's, that remains to be seen. As far as I know, there is no left or right-leaning affiliation to people who eat Kellogg's cereal, so there is potential that this move did alienate part of their customer base. But at the same time, they may have also gained customers who were glad that they used their voice, that they moved those dollars. And with this story, I do want to pass on the question to you, what is your opinion about companies having these stances? Because I mean, we've seen things like this in the past, but they were a little bit different. There was the Chick-fil-A CEO anti-gay thing, there were the protests, the support around it. You got places like the Hobby Lobby, but also Nike and Oreo. One, do you think it's a smart move that they take these stances? And two, does it ever actually stop you from buying something long-term? Because I didn't really see any long-term impacts to Chick-fil-A or Hobby Lobby or Nike or Oreo or any of those places. But we also do live in an ever-evolving, ever-changing world. Do you think that this could be different? I'd love to know what you think and why. And that's actually where I'm gonna end today's show. And remember, if you like this video, you like what I do on this channel, hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Also remember, if you want a shirt, shoes, or hat, grab them while you can. But that said, of course, as always, my name's Philip DeFranco. You've just been filled in. I love yo faces, and I'll see you tomorrow.